Hey and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video I wanted to talk a little bit about what are the good areas in Stockholm and around Stockholm, because I thought it could be quite useful to get to know Stockholm a little bit better and also the surrounding areas in case you want to move here and you're looking a little bit for clarity. Every now and then I do receive a question about what are the best areas to live in. So I thought I'd make a video about it and introduce you to the good areas in and around Stockholm. But before I start talking about the good areas in and around Stockholm, I just wanted to mention, just because in today's video I didn't mention certain areas doesn't mean they are bad areas. So just bear that in mind. Also, I try to stick to areas I know I have visited. Maybe there are one or two areas where I haven't been, but I know of people who live there and like it there. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below as well throughout this video. So I kind of thought about two categories. I want to talk about what type of living area is appealing to people. Category number one is basically you want a lively area, you want lots of cafes and restaurants, you want to get to work quite quickly, so it's probably more central than other areas. So that's category one. And category two, I was more referring to families. So when you have kids, you want maybe a little quieter area, a family-friendly community vibe, probably close to nature as well, but still having amenities accessible. But of course, even people who don't have children might want to live in a quieter area as well and being closer to nature. And things like safety and cleanliness should apply to all categories. Let's start with some areas for category number one. So the first area is called Östermalm. It's one of the wealthiest neighborhoods, but it's also quite popular. That's why I wanted to mention, because that's really in the city center. It has a lot to offer. It has beautiful homes and parks and recreational areas, and it even offers like a great view of the city. But if you like Östermalm and you can't afford it, then maybe you want to move somewhere where there's a really good public transport, where you can get to Östermalm very easily and very quick. The other area, which is also quite central, is Södermalm. This is quite a trendy and vibrant neighborhood, especially popular among students and young professionals. It also has quite a big range of shops, cafes and restaurants. It was actually known as a working class environment in the 1990s. So it has changed quite a lot. It was an area with quite a strong industrial presence. So it had quite a diverse and multicultural community. So that's how Södermalm started out. And today all this influence is still there and the area benefits from the past. And although it actually used to be a rough area, I mean, it sounds very familiar to some areas in London where it started out quite rough and then people discovered that it's a great area, they built communities, you know, and more people moved to that area and made the area quite unique. So then, yeah, over the years and decades, Södermalm transformed a little bit and is now one of the trendiest neighborhoods in Stockholm. Again, not a cheap area, but I definitely wanted to mention it. Then another quite central area in Stockholm is called Vasastan. This is a bit more of a quieter residential area in Stockholm, a bit more popular also amongst families, and it's known for its charming 19th century buildings and tree-lined streets. And the next area is one of my favorite areas, also quite central but more on the edge of Stockholm, and it's called Hammerby Sjöstad. I think this area is still quite new. I don't think a lot of people know about it, at least not when you first move here. So that's why I definitely wanted to mention it. And the very special thing about this area is that the focus is on sustainable living. That means that their focus is especially on green spaces, clean energy, and efficient transportation. The neighborhood features well-designed and energy-efficient apartments, townhouses, and commercial spaces, as well as a network of parks, waterways, and green spaces that provide ample opportunities for outdoor recreation and relaxation. So yeah, I came across this area because friends of mine live there. We went to drama school with my older daughter there, and also my partner works in that area. So I know it quite well, and I really love that area. The downside of it is that it is not cheap either. It's also quite expensive to live there. However, it is quite a popular area for families. So, I mean, it is a really good location, very close to the city center. In future videos, I will definitely show you around these areas a little bit as well, so you get a better picture. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see those videos. Although some of the areas I mentioned are quite family friendly, now I want to talk a little bit about some areas outside of Stockholm, but with a very good public transport. The first area I want to talk about is Lidingö. It is basically an island suburb east of Stockholm, and it's connected via a bridge. And this area also has beautiful homes, a lot of parks and recreational areas, as well as excellent schools. So I personally actually have never been to this area, but I know quite a few people who live there. That's why I wanted to mention this area, because it's definitely worth checking it out if you're thinking about moving to Stockholm or moving around Stockholm. Although it's quite close to Stockholm, it gives a very rural feeling, a big residential area with lots of natural beauty. Yeah, and there are forests everywhere, so it's really an area where it's quite calm. It's perfect for families, you know, kids can play outdoors, and even that island has quite a few lakes, which is something I just love about Stockholm and the surroundings. In terms of costs, I would still say it's not the most cheap area you can move to around outside of Stockholm, but it is definitely more affordable than living in the center of Stockholm. And then the next area is called Nacka. So basically, when we moved to Sweden, we had an Airbnb, and later on I realized it was located in Nacka, very close to Sickla. It was quite an accident that we found this Airbnb. It shows that it was a bigger one, it was a townhouse. We needed a little bit of space because we were staying at the end 2 months there. But because we were staying there, we got to know Nacka a little bit better, and we fell in love with that area. Nacka is actually quite big. One of the most popular areas is called Älta. Friends of ours live there, and I also remember that when we were applying for a mortgage, that our advisor said this is one of the most popular areas. So definitely have a look there, or hang out there, because it's really beautiful. There are also like beaches and lakes there. Unfortunately, we don't live there because it is a little bit expensive. You know, areas which are a bit more popular, it's possible that they are more expensive. Also, at the moment, there's not many new buildings or new houses which are built there. So that means the demand is maybe a little bit higher than what's actually provided in the area. But there's another area called Bo or Saltsjöbo, and that's the area we actually moved to. So we rented a house there. If you have watched one of my videos, you know how high the rent there was, and it was really expensive, but we really enjoyed living there. We lived right next to a beach, next to the sea, and it was so beautiful. But again, not the most affordable area. But yeah, in general, Nacka has a lot to offer. It's not only full of nature as well, it's also really good connected to Stockholm. So it's not a long commute. I remember when we lived in the Airbnb, we were very close to Nacka Strand, where you can literally walk by the water, and there are lots of restaurants. I remember it was quite a new area they built. It was under construction at the time, but a few things were already open, some restaurants and cafes there. But yeah, it's a very beautiful area. You should definitely check it out. One of the things in Nacka municipality is also that it has really good schools. So if you're looking for that, Nacka might be the right area for you. And yeah, needless to say that it's a really great area for families, and a lot of families live there. So you can make a lot of connections, and there are great communities in Nacka. So another area I want to talk about is Haninge, and I live in Haninge. So that's how I know a little bit more about Haninge. I definitely haven't here before I actually moved here or was looking for a place to live, to buy. But I know that one of my friends, like they grew up here, so they were talking about it a little bit. It's always good to know someone maybe who can tell you a little bit about a certain area. To be fair, Haninge is also quite big, similar to Nacka. There are maybe a few areas here I wouldn't move to, like Jordbro or Brandbergen, and even Handen has sometimes a little bit of a reputation. So yeah, sometimes there are a few areas within a municipality you might not want to move to, but you know, it's so subjective. Like I can't even say like you should not do it. I'm really talking just about, well, not even personal experience, but more like what I read or what people tell me, like friends. And then I make my own decisions, you know, I don't have to believe it or stick to it necessarily. So just to let you know, again, just because I mentioned these 2-3 areas, people are still living there and are happy to live in that area. But yeah, Haninge has also a lot of nature, forests. There is a national park, Tyresta National Park, very close by. For us, it's like a 10-minute journey by car. We did go there with friends a few months ago and it was absolutely beautiful. It was in winter as well, or at least, you know, in the colder season. And even then, these areas are absolutely amazing. And one video is coming up soon as well, where we visited Dalarö, also a very beautiful area in Haninge. So stay tuned, this video is coming soon as well. And yeah, most of the municipalities have a really good connection, a really good public transportation to get into town. Like even here we have a bus going straight into Hammerby Sjöstad, where my partner works. So you can literally just take one bus and go straight to work. And in Haninge, I would say the prices vary quite a bit. It depends what kind of apartment or townhouse or villa you're buying. It can be quite affordable, but also it can be expensive. It really depends. But yeah, you also have good schools here, private schools, public schools. I think you get everything you're probably looking for in Haninge as well. And then one area in Haninge I wanted to mention, it's called Vega. I mentioned it here because we live quite close by. I was very surprised about this area because it's super new. It is connected to the city via a train, and the station was built 2019, so you can imagine it's quite new. And when you are at the station, you look around and there's so many new buildings, so many new apartments. A lot of them are still under construction, so it's a really new area. And they're also like townhouses. I remember when I bought something on Facebook Market, I was driving up to like a house and it was a little community really hidden away in, like, you know, surrounded by a forest and a lot of nature around, and it was kind of like a circle full of houses. Kids were running around, lots of nice rocks there. Like, it looked really beautiful. I thought it was like a little hidden gem, and you can find that in that area as well. Surely also other areas, but that's something I discovered personally, and that's why I also wanted to mention Vega here. And to be fair, I don't want to make this video super long. I will just mention 3 more areas without going into too much detail, just for you to maybe do your own research. I don't know these 3 areas personally, but I heard they are quite nice, so maybe you should check them out. Just because I haven't experienced them personally, I don't want to, you know, not mention them. And that is Solna, Bromma and Täby. So go check them out. And I hope this video was useful for you. Again, if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments below and I'm happy to answer them. Thank you and hej då!
There's a special place in heaven for the trump evangelical.